All right, so first things first, we got 10 free tickets just for Bleach going #1 in the App Store. And while I said I'm going to save for Kenpachi, I figured these are literally free tickets. I'll probably just save the regular tickets for things like Kenpachi, things like Hitsugaya. So let's just use the free tickets on Ichigo and see if we get anything. Just for a little fun to start the video off. But we're going to be getting into some controls. And it looks like we got nothing. We're going to be getting into some controls just to help people along the way with, playing the game, the actual using the game on the emulator. I am using Bluestacks. If you're using LD Player, I assume this is similar, but if not, I would say that Bluestacks has been really smooth. I have not had a single issue, as you can see here. This is all, I can click here. You can hear me, maybe you can hear me click. But otherwise, you can hear me just using my controller. And if you're having a tough time getting on LD, getting on, I don't know, any sort of other form of emulation, I would suggest Bluestacks, and we're going to set that up really quickly. So let me just change my screen capture a little bit so you can actually see what I'm doing. And in the meantime, let's go here and give Yuryu his other boundary. Ooh, look at that, cool. When Yuryu triggers 2 or more combo attacks in a row, he deals 10% more damage. Sick. Yeah, let's hop over to that. Okay, so here we are in the actual training mode for this game, in case you want to practice your moves or anything. And we have a full team complete with a character who has a field skill, just to make the case, right? So what you're going to want to do on the right hand side of your LD or your LD player or your Bluestacks, whatever it is you're using, is click on whatever opens your game controls. I know you can't really, it's obscured because of the full screen, but this is about the best way I could kind of fit the region in, while also maintaining, the visual here and blocking out some unnecessary information. So I have I personally made a preset when I was doing the beta, and this is sort of what it looks like, right? So I don't know what it looks like on LD Player. This is going to be mostly a Bluestacks guide, I suppose. What you're going to want to do is, you just left click, it puts a thing on the screen. You can just type it, you can just press a button on your controller, and if your controller is actually working, and you can see I press X and it has X. I did this just right smack dab in the middle of a bunch of important things. Now, you might notice that there are 2 floating ones here in place of the character swap options. This is because you can ult instead of having to switch first. I'm keeping this here for now. Maybe in the future, once I get to bosses, once I get to the harder content, I won't want to use my ults immediately. And in that case, I'll probably just switch these off right here. Hopefully that makes sense. But otherwise, I got counter on right bumper, attack on X, flash step on A, regular skill on Y, and ultimate on B, with the left bumper handling this side. If you have a controller that has more buttons, for example, I'm a fighting game player. I love fighting games, but I have only ever used a fight stick. Some people use hit stick, or hitbox rather. Some people use game pads that are modified. If you have one of these game pads that have extra buttons, then obviously you won't need to do something like this, where you're sharing a command with the ultimate. And in that case, that's great for you. The other thing that becomes very important here is obviously setting up this control pad. You're going to want to use the D-pad selection here. Works just fine. You can do left stick up, left stick right, left stick down, and it'll actually, conform to your, button presses. So that's what you see here. I'm going to discard the change. That's what you see here when you see my character's thumb placement down in the bottom left corner, going crazy. This is to simulate your thumb, right? So let's just quickly go over some of the things we see here. So X, yep, looks like it works. Dash, yep, looks like it works. Counter, yep, looks like it works. Getting big, looks like it works. And switch out, yep. You can see here, LB, boom. Go into Chad, pick him up off the ground, boom. Pick him up, ooh, looks good to me. Looks good to me. And then big sweep, bang, sick as hell, right? And ultimate, I guess, finally. Yep, ultimate looks to work. We got big ass Bonkai demon, and we can end it off right here. Just a little bit of a showcase of what this character looks like, right? So pretty cool stuff. Now we go back to controls editor. So the other one you might have noticed is this one right here, which is a very important one. You're going to want to use free look from the selector. Free look is right here from the selector. And like before, up, right, down, left. But the important thing is, when you use free look, sorry about that. When you use free look, you're going to want to hover over it and click on this cog right here. You're going to want to set it to, I have it on keyboard, but regardless. Actually, do I have it on keyboard on this? Yeah, I have it on keyboard on this. You're going to want to press more settings. You're going to want to go to swipe speed and raise this up. Now, this does feel unwieldy when you're doing the walk around sections, in which case, in the overworld, I tend to use my mouse. I'll just sit up, stop using my controller and use my mouse. I think it's just easier. But when you're running around in game and creatures get behind you, you need to raise this speed. Because if you have very slow swipe speed, and I'll change it to 10, please look at what is going to happen to my game. So mine was on 70 before. Oh, that is really slow. Say this guy gets behind me, I'm fighting. Suddenly he's here, and it's like, oh, I just need to turn around. You know what I mean? So please make sure that you raise your swipe speed. This is like the only one you really need to tinker with. The others are not very necessary. And actually, I'm gonna change to about 65. The other ones are not particularly necessary, and this should be good enough to get you going without any sort of issue. Yeah, it looks nice and smooth. You know, I'm fighting, character gets behind me, I just turn right around, you know, I'm on him. So yeah, try to tinker with that to your comfort. Look at Yashiro over there in the fucking distance, dude. Like is that her over there? Look at this little beast over here, dude. But yeah, try to tinker with that as best you can, and you know, your game should be running pretty smooth. Again, all of this put together, you can see all of this works. You can hear me pressing the buttons. I'm not, you know, using anything that you didn't see here. Switching, doing everything. Yeah. And yeah, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it, really. I hope this made sense. I hope this was easy to follow. Like I said, if you are someone who is, you know, trying this game out on Bluestacks, this is going to be helping for you. If LD Player doesn't have this, Bluestacks works really well. Bluestacks is working like insanely well. I don't know really why you would choose LD Player if this doesn't work like this over Bluestacks. That's just me. But I get that people just have the thing they're using. They don't want to download another app for, you know, a gacha game. But yeah, let me just switch over to one more thing. I want to talk about something real quick. So, by the way, for all you content creators out there, you can see that that once you capture the game, the button presses are no longer visible. You do see the left one, which you always see anyway. So, for any content creators out there, this Bluestacks, again, is working really well in that department. You know, just something to consider. The other thing I want to talk about, just real quick, real quick. Actually, I guess I'll just make this another video, like, contained to itself, because it's probably important enough that it does, you know, warrant its own video. But I just want to say that, so I don't ramble in this video forever, you should probably follow someone like Giku's advice when he says that you should pull on the standard banner. You're going to be getting a lot of these tickets very freely. That's how PvE Gacha works. And these tickets are going to be the more inaccessible ones. So hold on to them, pick who you like. It's a PvE game. There's going to be power creep, but that sort of is what it is. I'm playing CZN right now, and I'm skipping the first character, skipping the second character, and waiting for a character that I like. I'm still able to clear everything. There's no reason to really rush PvE Gacha. There's going to be plenty to do. It is a honeymoon phase. It is the beginning. Don't burn yourself out trying to chase Bankai Ichigo because the tier list says so. Trying to chase Kisuke because the tier list. Actually, well, you will undoubtedly get every single character on this banner pretty quickly, so long as you're playing pretty quickly. So you don't really have to chase these guys. But I got Kumamura, I can't remember what his name is, and I wish I would have gotten, actually, because he's a little clunky, You know, he's a little clunky feeling. He's a little big, bombastic feeling. I don't really have another good, you know, I don't have the orange DPS here. So I would have preferred getting a support character, but we'll cross that road when we get there. One of these 3 supports, or Ikaku, who is more direct. But yeah, with all that being said, though, like if you like the video, subscribe to the club, we're gonna make it, and peace.